Hey guys. Tonight we're stepping quietly into a frozen wilderness. Not the kind you scroll past on your phone with a wow emoji, but the kind where your eyelashes turn to ice and every breath feels like glass. It's a North American winter. Long before electricity, heaters, or even thick wool blankets. You're walking through the plains with the Lakota, and the cold wraps around you like a living creature, testing how much you want to stay alive. You look around, snow glows blue in the moonlight. The prairie is endless, and your feet crunch through layers of frost that whisper under each step. Your hands ache, your lips sting, and your nose feels like it might fall off at any second. Yeah, you wouldn't last long here. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, let me know in the comments where you're listening from, and what time it is for you right now. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge toward the faint orange glow ahead, the Lakota encampment. The air smells faintly of smoke and animal fat. Around the circle of tipis, snow piles up like miniature mountains, their slopes glistening under the pale moon. Inside each tent, a small fire flickers at the center, its warmth struggling against the frozen night. A woman tends to the fire, carefully feeding it dry willow twigs. Her hands are steady. She's done this every night since the snow began. Nearby, children huddle beneath thick buffalo hides. The hides are heavy, layered like armor, and lined with fur soft enough to trap body heat. When you lie under one, it feels like being hugged by the very animal that once roamed these plains. The smell of smoke clings to everything, to hair, to skin, to dreams. But out here, that's comfort. The air outside would slice through you like knives if not for these makeshift cocoons. You watch as the firelight dances across the teepee's inner walls, revealing paintings of buffalo hunts and stars, half shadowed by drifting smoke. You imagine the wind outside, a voice howling through the prairie, scolding the careless. The Lakota call it Wazaya, the north wind spirit, the bringer of cold and silence. Tonight, it's merciless, but inside, there's laughter, quiet and small, like a heartbeat. Someone hums a tune, a song to the ancestors. You pull the hide closer around your shoulders. The warmth isn't perfect, it never is. The floor beneath you is frozen earth covered in dried grass and animal skins. You shift to find comfort, feeling how the cold creeps up through the ground. Still, it's better than open air. Out there, you'd be a snow sculpture by sunrise. One of the elders stirs. His hair is silver, his eyes glowing faintly in the firelight. Cold as a teacher, he whispers, not really to you, maybe not even to anyone at all. It teaches you to listen. You realize then that silence here isn't empty, it's full of stories. A faint crack sounds outside. The teepee fabric flutters. The fire spits, momentarily throwing sparks. For a second, you think it's snow falling, until you see the tiny flakes or ash twirling lazily before landing on a fur pelt. You lie back and watch the smoke spiral upward through the small vent hole at the teepee's peak. The stars beyond it look impossibly sharp, like cold diamonds pinned to black velvet. You wonder how people could sleep in such freezing darkness. But to them, it's not terrifying, it's home. They've learned to read the cold, to hear its moods. The groan of trees in the distance means the temperature's dropping. The way your breath hangs in the air tells you whether dawn is near. They don't fight the winter, they negotiate with it. You'd be arguing, loudly, with frostbite. Someone outside scrapes ice from a pot. Melting snow for water. The sound mingles with the occasional crack of burning wood. Every sense slows down. Time stretches. Out here, night doesn't just mean darkness, it's a whole season. You start to understand why they move differently, slow, deliberate, conserving every motion. The Lakota survive not through strength but rhythm. When the cold presses in, they press back with patience. When the night grows too long, they light another fire and tell another story. A child giggles as a spark lands near his blanket, and the elder shushes him with a smile. "Don't wake the spirits," he says. "They're watching the flames." You can't tell if he's joking, but his tone has that mix of reverence and amusement, the kind only people who've made peace with danger can carry. You reach out, touching the buffalo hide. It's coarse but reassuring. You think about the animal, massive, stubborn, enduring. Every inch of it is used: meat, bones, sinew, fur. Even in death, it gives life. Sleeping beneath its skin, you almost feel that exchange, one life lending warmth to another. The wind moans outside again. A long, lonely note. The teepee shakes slightly, but no one seems worried. The people here trust the structure, the poles angled perfectly, the hide stitched tight. Tipis breathe with the weather. When the wind blows, they bend. When the air stills, they tighten. It's engineering born from necessity, and maybe a bit of genius. The old man begins another story. His voice blends with the fire's crackle. He tells of a time when the winter was even colder, when even the wolves howled for mercy. The cold came from the stars. He says, it wanted to see who could endure. You close your eyes. You can almost feel the stars watching, still, distant and curious. The air inside the teepee grows heavy with warmth and wood smoke, and the sounds outside begin to fade: the wind, the snow, the creaking of frozen trees. Sleep comes quietly, like a hunter in soft moccasins. It circles, studies you, then settles at your side. If you listen closely, you can still hear the whisper of that old man. Cold is a teacher. Learn, and you live. Ignore it, and you disappear. The fire sighs. The hides rustle. And for a moment, everything, the people, the land, the cold, breathes in perfect rhythm. You drift. And somewhere beyond the flicker of flame, the winter night continues, ancient and endless. The fire hasn't gone out yet. It's smaller now, its heart glowing like an ember trapped inside a shell of ash. You stir in the dim warmth, feeling that strange comfort of being halfway awake, halfway inside a dream. The teepee smells of smoke, hide, and faintly of meat stew long gone. Outside, the wind scrapes across the plains, persistent, patient, and a little bit rude. Someone beside you shifts under a heavy buffalo hide. You can hear it slide, thick, soft, creased from years of use. The fur brushes your arm, and for a moment you could almost believe it's alive again, breathing. That's the thing about buffalo hides. They don't just cover you, they cradle you. The Lakota believed buffalo were sacred gifts. And tonight, as you lie under their warmth, you start to understand why. Every part of that animal lives on. Its bones make tools. Its sinew stitches clothing. And its thick winter coat keeps people alive through the kind of cold that kills hesitation. You'd probably be Googling nearest electric blanket by now. But here, survival doesn't come from Amazon Prime, it comes from the land itself. The teepee's central fire flickers as someone adds a new log. The flames leap, throwing amber light on the curved walls. The shadows of painted buffalo hunts seem to move again, galloping across the hide, caught in an eternal chase. The crackle of sap in the wood sounds like tiny footsteps. You close your eyes, hearing the rhythm of the fire, soft, steady, hypnotic. Outside, the snow thickens. It lands in waves, muffling the world until even the wind sounds tired. A woman hums a lullaby, her voice low and unhurried. You don't understand the words, but the tone is enough, like the steady hand of someone who has outlasted many winters. The buffalo hides shift again. They smell of earth and age, and underneath that, a faint sweetness from smoke and grease. The hides aren't light, they're weighty, pressing gently down on your body as if reminding you that you're still here, that you're lucky to be warm. You notice how everyone sleeps close together. Space is a luxury you can't afford in this kind of weather. The more bodies, the more heat. Children curl beside parents. Dogs curl at their feet. Even the fire seems to rest now, burning lower, whispering instead of roaring. You reach out and touch the inner wall of the teepee. It's cool but not frozen, the buffalo hide layered over poles of pine. A gap near the top lets the smoke drift away, carrying with it the day's last traces of warmth. If you look up, you can see a thin line of stars peeking through, blinking like they're trying to stay awake. The old man from last night is still awake. He's staring at the fire, eyes lost somewhere deep in memory. When I was a boy, he murmurs, we hunted for 3 days to find one buffalo. The wind was so strong, it cut through our leggings. But when we brought it home, we were warm all winter. You imagine that scene, the snow swirling, the hunters moving slow but certain, guided by instinct and hunger. It's not just a hunt, it's a promise. If we take one life, we use it completely, nothing wasted, nothing forgotten. That's a kind of respect that modern life rarely gives. You shift again under your own hide, realizing how perfectly it holds heat. The fur traps air, the leather shields you from drafts. It's not glamorous, but it works better than any synthetic fabric you've ever owned. Even the smell, smoky and animal, feels like protection, like nature's version of a weighted blanket. Someone outside scrapes snow away from the teepee's edge. They do it to stop melting ice from seeping in when the fire grows stronger later. You can hear the rhythm of the scraping, steady, calm, like part of a ritual. And in a way, it is. Every night, these small acts keep the tribe alive. A young boy stirs beside you, whispering something about the buffalo spirits. His mother smiles, half asleep. They're watching, she says softly. They watch us when we sleep, to see if we remember to be thankful. You don't need to believe in spirits to appreciate that thought. Gratitude has its own warmth. You think about the contrast, your heated room back home, your thick comforter, your phone glowing beside your bed. And yet, sometimes you still feel cold. Maybe warmth isn't just about temperature, maybe it's about belonging. The elder tosses another branch into the fire. and sparks scatter like tiny golden birds. These hides, he says, they remember the plains. When you sleep under them, the buffalo dream with you. You smile in the dark. It sounds poetic, but here, it's just the truth. You're sleeping wrapped in history, in fur that once roamed the same frozen grass you're lying on now. You can almost hear hooves in the distance, soft and rhythmic, fading into the horizon of your mind. The fire settles again, the teepee breathes, the people dream, and for a moment, even the cold outside seems to pause, as if paying its respects to the quiet mastery of those who learned how to survive it. You pull the hide closer around your chin, eyes heavy, heart strangely calm. The crackling fades into a gentle hiss, and you realize, out here, every ember is a heartbeat, every breath is proof. You drift again, between worlds, one ancient, one modern, feeling both small and infinite at once. And somewhere, in that fragile balance of firelight and frost, you finally understand. Warmth isn't found. It's made. You wake to silence, not the kind that feels empty, but the kind that presses softly against your ears, like snow falling on fur. The storm has passed. The prairie is a sheet of silver stretching to the edge of sight. The air glitters faintly in the pale light of dawn. You step outside the teepee, and your breath hangs like smoke, curling upward before fading into the frozen morning. The Lakota camp is still asleep, but on the horizon, something different stands against the whiteness, small mounds, half buried in snow, rising like the backs of sleeping animals. You walk toward them. As you draw closer, you realize they aren't hills. They're houses, earth lodges. The Mandan people built them, a civilization of river dwellers who knew how to turn the land itself into shelter. You brush snow from the dome-shaped walls. They're made of packed earth layered over a skeleton of logs and willow branches. Inside, it's surprisingly warm. You duck through a narrow entrance and step into a world that smells of soil and smoke. It feels like walking into the ribs of the earth. The ceiling arches low, thick beams form a web of support. The floor is sunken several feet below ground, trapping the heat that rises from a central hearth. Smoke drifts lazily upward through a small vent, mixing with the faint scent of dried corn hanging from the rafters. Here, you understand the genius of warmth by design. The earth itself becomes insulation. The snow outside, instead of an enemy, becomes a blanket. You touch the packed walls, cooled to the skin, but never icy. It's as if the land decided to cradle its people through winter. A Mandan woman nods in greeting, her hair braided, her hands busy grinding maize. Around her, children sit wrapped in fur robes, carving small toys from bone. You smile, they're laughing, despite the cold that still claws at the edges of the doorway. You realize that survival isn't just about heat. It's about familiarity. About knowing that the walls around you were shaped by your own hands. The old man who built this lodge sits near the fire, smoking a long pipe. His eyes are cloudy, but sharp enough to notice your curiosity. "We sleep with the earth," he says quietly. "She remembers how to hold warmth better than we do." You nod, thinking of modern houses, the sharp corners, the sterile walls, the hum of heaters that dry the air. Those homes keep you warm. Yes, but they never feel alive. Here, in this dim round room, every breath feels shared, between people. Fire, and earth. A few dogs doze near the hearth, curled tightly, their paws twitching as they dream. You can hear faint snoring from another corner, someone wrapped in a buffalo robe, resting after a long night of hauling wood through the snow. The fire pops softly. Each sound feels magnified, sacred even. You reach out to the warmth of a clay pot near the fire. It's full of water that hasn't frozen overnight. The woman catches your look and smiles knowingly. Snow can't reach inside here, she says. The wind forgets our names. It's true. The howling you heard outside the teepee has faded into nothing here. The walls swallow it. Even the flicker of the fire feels calmer, more deliberate. It burns not for light, but for life. The old man points to the low beams above you. When the snow is deep, he says, we sleep close to the fire. But when the spring comes, we open the vent and let the wind clean our dreams. He chuckles softly. The snow listens to us. We just have to listen back. You think of how the modern world tends to fight nature, thermostats, walls, sealed windows. But the Mandan didn't fight. They learned to collaborate. Their lodges weren't defiance, they were dialogue. The structure speaks to the land, and the land answers in warmth. As the morning grows brighter, more people stir. A girl tends to the fire, adding dried buffalo dung as fuel. The smell is earthy, almost comforting. You realize that this community has turned everything, even what others might discard, into something vital. You watch as they share breakfast, roasted corn, dried berries, a bit of smoked meat. Simple, but it fills the lodge with a sweetness that blends with the scent of earth and firewood. Someone laughs about a dream they had, a giant snow fox stealing the moon. The others tease him gently, calling him the dream fox. Laughter, it seems, is another form of heat. It keeps the spirit alive when the world outside freezes. When the old man rises, he moves slowly to the doorway and lifts a hide flap. A sharp gust of cold air rushes in, swirling the smoke, but instead of flinching, everyone breathes it in like a reminder. The contrast between cold and warmth is what makes both real. The elder looks back at you. You think this is just shelter? He asks. No, it's memory. When the storms come, the land protects those who remember they belong to it. His words hang in the air like incense. You look once more at the curved walls, the layers of packed earth, the way the snow outside rests gently against the roof instead of trying to break through. It's not a house fighting the elements. It's a house built with them. You sit quietly, listening to the faint hum of wind above and the crackle below. For a moment, you imagine the earth breathing beneath you, slow, steady, ancient. It's the same rhythm that's carried countless winters before this one. Sleep creeps close again, drawn by the warmth and rhythm of life underground. You pull your robe tighter, eyes heavy. The fire sighs, the earth holds steady, and the snow outside begins to fall once more. Not as an enemy, but as a lullaby. And just before you drift off, you catch yourself smiling, because tonight, you're not sleeping on the land. You're sleeping within it. The next evening, you find yourself back among the Lakota tipis, tall, conical, and glowing faintly from the fires within. From a distance, they look like lanterns scattered across the snow, each one a tiny sun holding back the darkness. The sky is wide, sharp, and black, the kind of black that swallows stars whole. The wind moves differently here, slower, heavier, as if even it respects the design of these shelters. You duck inside one of them. And the moment you do, the world changes. The wind vanishes. The air grows warm and smells of smoke and fur. The teepee breathes like a living creature, the hide walls tightening when the wind rises, loosening again as the night calms. It's an architectural miracle disguised as simplicity. A young man grins when he sees your wonder. The teepee knows more about winter than we do. He jokes, tossing a handful of wood into the fire pit. The sparks rise, twirling like fireflies before slipping out through the smoke hole above. You can see the faint outline of the moon through that vent, a silver coin spinning slowly over the Great Plains. You settle down near the fire, feeling the warmth creep up through your legs. The floor is covered in woven mats layered with buffalo hides. Around the walls, personal belongings hang neatly, beaded bags, bows, bundles of herbs. Everything has its place. Even chaos, it seems, is organized here. You watch as the young man adjusts the poles holding the teepee's smoke flaps. He does it with the precision of someone tuning an instrument. Too much smoke, he mutters. The stars will choke. He smiles, clearly amused by his own poetry. You chuckle softly. That's the third joke tonight. You're starting to fit in. The teepee's interior glows amber. A woman adds dried sage to the fire, and the scent unfurls into the air, sharp, clean, almost holy. It fills the space like a blessing. For a second, the cold world outside feels unreal, as if winter itself has been banished to the edge of the horizon. You lean back and listen. The fire crackles. The hide walls whisper with the wind. A dog sighs in its sleep near the entrance. It's all rhythm, the heartbeat of survival played in soft percussion. Someone passes you a small bowl of stew, buffalo, root vegetables, maybe a little wild onion. It tastes smoky, earthy, like it was born from the fire itself. You realize that warmth here isn't just in the air. It's in the food, the laughter, the shared silence. When the children finish eating, they gather near the fire, wrapping themselves in hides. An elder begins to speak, his voice slow and low, like snow falling. He tells a story about the first teepee, how the sky woman once lowered her hands to earth and shaped it from wind and will. As he speaks, you glance up at the top opening again. The vent aligns perfectly with a cluster of stars. See, the elder says? Following your gaze, we always leave room for the sky. Even in the coldest night, you must let your spirit breathe. You think about modern houses, sealed tight, boxed against the world. They keep the warmth in. Yes, but maybe they also keep life out. The teepee, by contrast, is a conversation between the earth and the heavens. Smoke rises to the stars. Warmth falls back down, a perfect exchange. The elder continues. In winter, we build the fire small but steady. Too big, and the smoke will turn on you. Too small, and the cold will steal your dreams. You nod, realizing this is less about technique and more about philosophy. Balance. That's the real insulation here. You lie down, the buffalo hide heavy across your body. The fire burns low, its glow pulsing against the hide walls like a heartbeat. Shadows of dancing flames ripple across the paintings, hunters, horses, spirits. They move as if alive, telling stories older than language. The young man from earlier lies down too. Yawning. When I was little, he murmurs, I thought the smoke hole was a doorway for the stars. I'd fall asleep waiting for one to come down and visit. He laughs quietly. Never did. Guess they're shy. You smile. Maybe they're just polite. You whisper back. Didn't want to step on your dreams. He laughs again. That kind of laugh that feels like a soft crack in the cold. For a moment, the teepee feels even warmer. Outside, the wind changes direction. You can hear it pushing against the hides, searching for a way in. But the structure flexes, sighs, and holds its ground. The teepee was built to move with the storm, not fight it. A wisdom the modern world often forgets. The fire hums low now. Its glow soft as a lantern behind thin paper. You close your eyes. The air is thick with smoke and stories. Your skin smells of sage. Somewhere, the elder's voice fades into a chant, half song, half prayer, thanking the night for being gentle, asking it to stay that way until dawn. The teepee shifts as someone outside adds another stake of snow around the base. Sealing in the last draft. It's a small act, but it feels ceremonial. One more reminder that survival is built from attention, not strength. You drift, half awake, hearing the world narrow to the sound of the fire and the sighs of sleeping people. A single spark leaps, dances, fades. You feel weightless, safe inside a structure made not to dominate nature, but to dance with it. And somewhere in that slow rhythm of flame and wind, you realize that warmth, like peace, is not conquered, it's negotiated. The fire burns low again, a faint orange heartbeat against the teepee's curved wall. The air is thick with the scent of smoke and sage, warm but heavy, like a memory refusing to leave. You open your eyes to find the night deeper than before, darker, quieter. The only sound is the faint breathing of those around you. It's peaceful, yet there's a strange awareness in the silence, as if the darkness itself is listening. Tonight, you begin to understand what the Lakota elders mean when they say, "You never truly sleep alone." Outside, the prairie hums. The wind moves softly now, a whisper more than a roar. It slides between tipis, lifts snow from the ground, and plays with the smoke that escapes through the vent above. To you, it's just the wind, but to the people here, it's something older, the voice of the ancestors, wandering through the night to see who's still awake. A soft murmur rises near the fire. The old man, the same one who told stories about the buffalo, sits cross-legged, eyes half shut. He's humming a melody that feels like a heartbeat slowed down, the kind of tune that might make even ghosts stop to listen. You can't tell if he's singing to the living or the dead. Maybe both. They walk when we dream, he says suddenly, not looking at you, the ones before us. They come to remind us not to waste the warmth. His voice is calm, almost amused, as if the idea of spirits drifting through his tent at night is as ordinary as a neighbor dropping by for coffee. You shift a little, your hide blanket creaking softly. The air feels different now, heavier, thicker, not frightening, but charged, like the space just before lightning strikes. He chuckles. Don't worry, he says, finally meeting your eyes. They don't bother guests. They're curious. That's all. You sleep under our roof. They want to know who you are. You try to laugh, but it comes out more like a nervous exhale. He smiles wider, clearly enjoying your discomfort. You city people, he teases. You think ghosts live only in horror stories. Out here, we talk to them before bed. He's joking, mostly. But still, you can't help glancing toward the shadows in the teepee's corner. They seem to move just a little when the fire flickers. The elder tosses sage into the embers. It hisses, releasing a new wave of fragrance. This keeps the cold spirits away, he says, and the bad dreams. The ancestors, though, they come through no matter what. Smoke is their road. You look up. The thin column of smoke rises steadily toward the vent, curling as it goes. The idea that something unseen could travel along it doesn't seem so far-fetched now. The rhythm of the fire, the pulse of the wind, the steady breathing around you, it all feels connected, part of something older than words. He gestures for you to lie down. Close your eyes, he says softly. If they come, don't be afraid. They only visit the living who remember to listen. You hesitate, but eventually, you do as told. The hide blanket smells of earth and smoke and something faintly sweet, maybe cedar. You focus on the warmth seeping up through the frozen ground. The wind outside hums low, almost like a lullaby. You start to drift, not quite asleep, not quite awake. The sounds around you blur. The crackle of the fire becomes a distant murmur. Somewhere, you hear the elder's voice again, faint and rhythmic, chanting words you don't recognize. And then, something subtle shifts. It's colder suddenly, but not from the wind. More like the air itself thickened. You feel a presence, not threatening, just watching. You open your eyes slightly, and the smoke above the fire twists into shapes, almost human for a heartbeat before dissolving again. The old man keeps chanting. No one else stirs. The dogs are silent. The teepee doesn't creak. For a moment, the entire world seems to hold its breath. You realize then that this isn't a superstition. It's a relationship, a quiet truce between the living and the dead. The Lakota don't fear their ancestors, they sleep beside them. Each night is a reunion. Each dream a conversation. The old man's voice fades. They've seen us, he whispers. Now they'll leave us warm. And just like that, the air lightens. The heaviness lifts. The warmth returns. Slowly, gently, like the tide coming back to shore. He leans back, satisfied, and pulls his hide closer. You see, he murmurs. Even the spirits hate the cold. You laugh softly, finally relaxing. The tension leaves your shoulders. Outside, the wind sighs, or maybe answers. You can't tell anymore. The fire settles into a steady rhythm again, casting gold against the hide walls. You look at the painted figures, horses, stars, people dancing around flames, and for a brief second, you could swear one of them moves. You blink, and it's gone. Maybe it was just the firelight. Or maybe not. Either way, you feel strangely comforted. Out here, even the supernatural seems gentle. Like an old friend checking in to make sure you're safe. As your eyes grow heavy, you whisper a quiet thank you, not sure who you're addressing. But feeling it matters. The wind shifts one last time, brushing against the teepee like a hand smoothing a blanket. And as you slip into sleep, you think, maybe warmth isn't just from fire and hides. Maybe it's from being remembered. By the next night, you've gotten used to the rhythm, firelight, shadows, the slow breathing of the people around you. But tonight, there's something new in the teepee. A faint shuffle, A snort. Then, a small gust of warm breath against your hand. You blink in the dim light and come face to face with a pair of dark, curious eyes. It's a dog, thick fur. Snow still clinging to its paws. It stares at you, unblinking, as if trying to decide whether you're trustworthy enough to share its heat. Then it exhales and curls beside you, pressing its body against yours. Instant warmth. You can't help but smile. Out here, even the dogs understand survival through teamwork. The Lakota didn't just keep them as hunting helpers or guards. They were companions, protectors, heaters, and sometimes, storytellers in their own silent way. The old man notices and chuckles. He's chosen you, he says softly. That means you don't smell too strange. You laugh under your breath, scratching the dog's neck. Its fur is coarse on top but soft underneath, like a well-worn rug that's earned every patch. It sighs, closing its eyes. You can feel its heartbeat, steady and slow. The elder leans back. Long ago, he says, our people slept side by side with our dogs every winter. When the winds came down from the north, even warriors needed fur they didn't grow. He pauses, stroking the hide beside him. Dogs keep you humble. They remind you that warmth is meant to be shared. You glance around the teepee and realize he's right. 2 other dogs are already curled near the fire, their tails tucked over their noses. A woman's hand rests gently on one's back as she sleeps, fingers twitching in rhythm with its breathing. Outside, the wind picks up, sharp again, searching for cracks to slip through. The teepee walls shiver, but the air inside remains calm. The dogs lift their heads briefly, ears twitching, then settle again. You can almost sense the silent agreement between human and animal. I keep you safe. You keep me warm. One of the younger men enters, brushing snow from his shoulders. He's been tending the horses. They're restless, he says, crouching near the fire. The wind smells of ice. The elder nods knowingly. Horses, too, were part of the nightly rhythm. They huddled close together, backs to the wind, steam rising from their bodies like ghosts in the moonlight. Sometimes, the people slept near them, not out of fear, but respect. Horses were warmth, transport, and spirit all in one. In a world before walls and engines, they were living companions against the endless cold. The young man adds more wood to the fire. It pops and throws new light across the teepee, catching the gleam of the dog's eyes beside you. They reflect orange, like tiny embers. You realize how much comfort that glow brings, a reminder that you're never truly alone out here. The elder tells another story. The wolves taught us how to sleep in winter. He says, they circle, nose to tail, keeping the heat inside. We watched them, we learned. Even the proudest hunter still borrows tricks from the animals. You imagine it. A ring of wolves sleeping under the stars. Snow drifting over their fur. Breathing in perfect rhythm. The image feels ancient, right? You suddenly understand how deeply intertwined survival and observation are. To live here is to pay attention to how the wind moves, how the snow falls, how even a dog curls itself into safety. You reach down and scratch the dog's back again. Its tail thumps once against the ground, a lazy, sleepy approval. You whisper, "Thanks, buddy," and the elder smiles without opening his eyes. He heard you, he says. They always do. The night grows colder. But the teepee grows warmer, bodies, fire, fur, and stories all woven together like layers of a blanket. You start to drift again, feeling the slow rise and fall of the dog's chest beside you. Its warmth seeps through the hide, through your clothes, into your bones. You think about your world, heated houses, fluffy comforters, pets who sleep in separate rooms. Out here, warmth isn't a luxury, it's a partnership. The people, the animals, the land, all part of one breathing organism. You envy that simplicity, that intimacy with life itself. A sudden gust rattles the teepee's top. The fire flickers, then steadies. The dog doesn't even lift its head. It trusts the night, or maybe it trusts the people who've learned to live within it. Either way, you feel that same trust beginning to grow in you. The elder stirs and murmurs. You sleep better when you're not pretending to be alone. Then he drifts off again, his words lingering like smoke. You watch the last few sparks rise from the fire, curling upward like whispers of warmth. The dog's breathing deepens. The storm outside hums itself to sleep. And there you are, a stranger beneath a buffalo hide, sharing dreams with a creature whose ancestors once howled at the same moon. It's humbling, and oddly comforting, the kind of comfort no blanket could give. You close your eyes, the sound of soft breathing all around you. And as sleep pulls you under, you think, maybe that's what warmth really is, a promise between living things to outlast the cold. Together, by the next dawn, the teepee smells faintly of ash and fur, proof that another night has been survived. The fire is little more than glowing coals now, pulsing gently under a layer of white dust. You sit up, pulling the buffalo hide from your shoulders, and the cold immediately bites your skin. Not politely either, more like an insult from the wind itself. You glance around. The Lakota are already moving. Morning is no reason to slow down in the plains. Warmth is something you earn, not something you keep. A young woman stands by the entrance, wrapping herself in layer after layer of clothing. You count them, an underlayer of soft buckskin, another of fur, then a woven sash around her waist. Over that, she pulls on a robe made from bison hide. She looks like a walking winter fortress. She catches your stare and laughs. You think it's too much, she says, tugging the robe tighter. Wait until the wind remembers your name. You smile, half amused, half terrified. The elder nearby adds, clothing is our armor, not for war, for winter. The cold is the oldest enemy. It kills the loud ones first. He's right. You've felt that silence, that stealth. Cold doesn't announce itself, it creeps. It negotiates. It waits until your guard drops. Out here, the Lakota never give it the chance. You watch as they prepare for the day's work. One man ties snowshoes over his leggings. Another fastens a hood of coyote fur around his face. Each piece of clothing serves a purpose. Every layer a lesson learned through generations of trial and frostbite. There's no fashion here, only function. And somehow that makes it beautiful. You run your fingers along the inside of your borrowed robe. The hide is soft where it touches your skin, but tough on the outside. It smells faintly of smoke, a natural weatherproofing from countless nights near the fire. A child giggles as his mother wraps him in a tiny fur coat. He'll grow into the cold, she says proudly. It builds his bones. You're not entirely convinced that's how biology works. But you keep the thought to yourself. Outside, a thin sun rises, cold and white, offering light but no heat. The people move in rhythm, collecting wood, fetching water, tending the horses. Every motion is deliberate, almost ritualistic, nothing wasted, nothing hurried. You follow them out. The first breath of air nearly steals your voice. It's sharp enough to make your teeth ache. You pull the robe tighter and realize the layers do more than trap heat, they trap courage. Each one feels like a promise. You're not as fragile as you think. The young woman walks beside you, her fur hood pulled low. We dress to talk to the wind. She says, it tests us every day. If we answer right, it lets us live. She grins. If not, it takes our noses first. You laugh, but she isn't entirely joking. Some people still bear the scars, pale lines where frost once bit too deep. Yet they wear them proudly, like medals from battles fought and survived. She hands you a strip of rabbit fur. Put this around your wrists. She says, the cold likes to sneak in through small doors. You do as she says. And she nods approvingly. Now you look almost human. The elder joins you outside. Leaning on his staff, we learned from the animals. He says, the fox burrows, the bear sleeps, the buffalo wears his coat. We copied them all. Nature was our first tailor. You look around, the endless white plain, the pale sky, the quiet endurance of everything alive. It makes sense. The people here don't conquer winter. They mimic it until it accepts them. The young woman points toward a distant ridge where smoke rises faintly. That's another camp, she says. When the storms come, we share hides and food. Nobody survives the cold alone. It strikes you. Even clothing here is communal. The furs, the skins, the stitches, all part of an unspoken alliance. Warmth is made by many hands. You remember your own world, fast fashion. Closets full of things you rarely wear. Here, one garment might last a lifetime. And every tear carries a story. A winter robe isn't just worn, it's inherited. Repaired, smoked, softened, honored. The elder taps your shoulder. Don't stand still too long. He warns. Stillness belongs to death. Then he smirks. Unless you're meditating, but even then, wear good boots. You laugh. Hardly because he's funny. Hardly because your toes are already numb. The day passes in quiet labor, gathering, mending, tending. By dusk, everyone returns to the tipis. Arms full of wood, cheeks red from the wind. The young woman shakes snow from her hood and sighs contentedly. See, the cold never wins. It just teaches. Inside, the fire grows again. The layers of clothing come off one by one, hung neatly near the walls. Steam rises from damp fur. And the smell of smoke and sweat fills the air, the scent of life persisting. You sit by the fire, watching as the elder repairs a tear in his robe with sinew thread. Each stitch, he says, is a memory. When the cold comes again, it will find us ready. You nod, mesmerized by the rhythm of his hands, the glow of the firelight, the calm certainty of his voice. Later, when everyone settles under the hides, you still feel the weight of your layers, the warmth lingering on your skin like armor even in rest. The fire hums, the wind sighs, and you close your eyes. And as sleep takes you, you think, we dress not just to survive the cold, but to remember that we're still alive within it. By the time night falls again, the cold feels sharper, like it's grown teeth. The air itself seems to bite. Even the fire inside the teepee struggles. Its flames small and stubborn against the creeping frost. You pull your robe tighter, but the chill still finds the seams. It's the kind of cold that doesn't care how brave you are. It seeps through patience and pride alike. That's when you notice what the Lakota are doing. Before anyone lies down to sleep, they're outside, gathered around the main fire pit. The flames roar brighter than usual, fed by thick logs and dry willow. At first you think they're just warming up, but then you see them pulling out round stones, smooth, heavy, blackened from years of use. Each one glows faintly red, pulsing like the heart of the earth. The old man gestures for you to come closer. These, he says, are the secret to surviving the long night. He lifts one stone with tongs made from bent wood and slides it carefully into a pouch of thick hide. Then another, then another. You realize they're heating stones deliberately. Not for cooking, but for sleeping. Hot stones, he says with a grin. The first bed warmers. No batteries, no complaints. You laugh, watching as they seal the pouches with sinew cords. The hide darkens slightly from the heat, but doesn't burn. Inside, the stones radiate a deep, steady warmth, not the flash fire kind that fades quickly, but the slow kind that lasts until dawn. The elder hands one to you. It's heavy and almost too warm to touch. You can feel the heat spreading through your palms, sinking into your bones. Keep it close, he says. It remembers the fire better than we do. Back inside the teepee, the difference is immediate. Each person tucks a warm stone pouch beneath their blanket, at their feet or against their chest. The effect is quiet but profound. The air's still cold. Yes, but the body's no longer tense against it. The warmth radiates upward, soft and patient. You lie back, holding your stone near your stomach. The heat feels alive, like something breathing under the leather. You whisper, "Thank you, Rock," and the elder chuckles softly from across the room. "Don't laugh," he says. "It's polite to talk to what keeps you alive." The fire in the center burns low. The teepee breathing with it, inhaling warmth, exhaling smoke. The glowing stone beneath your hand feels almost sentient, humming faintly with stored sunlight. You wonder if this is how the earth feels deep underground, steady, silent, unhurried. The elder begins to tell the story of the hidden fires, the belief that every warm stone holds the memory of the great fire. The spirit that first taught humans how to live through winter. When we heat the stones, he says, we're not just making warmth, we're waking old friends. You imagine that, tiny souls of ancient fire resting in each stone, waiting patiently for their turn to shine again. It's poetic, yes, but also practical. Science and spirit, sitting side by side in the snow. Outside, the wind grows bold. It claws at the teepee walls, searching for cracks, for weakness. Inside, the hidden fires answer silently, radiating defiance through fur and hide. The children sleep easily. The dogs snore. The storm, finding no fear here, moves on. You turn the stone slowly in your hands, feeling its heat change, not dying, just deepening. The warmth now feels like a heartbeat syncing with yours. Long ago, the elder continues, we learned this trick from the earth itself. The caves stay warm because the stones remember the sun. So we taught our stones to do the same. Everything remembers something, even the cold. You nod, eyes half closed, feeling strangely emotional. The wisdom here isn't an invention, it's an observation. You realize that in modern life, we've forgotten how to learn from what's silent. The teepee smells of smoke and sage again. You can hear faint singing from another shelter nearby, someone soothing a child back to sleep. The sound drifts in, mingling with the crackle of the fire. It's gentle, ancient, like the land humming to itself. The elder speaks once more, voice slow and soft. We keep our fires small, our hearts steady, and our stones warm. That's how we've lived longer than the storms. You think about that. How survival here isn't loud or heroic. It's a quiet art, made of rituals that look simple but hold centuries of precision. A warm stone, a hide, a breath, a memory. You pull the blanket up to your chin. The warmth from the stone has spread fully now, not just physical, but emotional. You feel safe, cocooned in heat borrowed from the earth's own heart. The wind howls one last time, frustrated, before moving on to find easier prey. Inside, the teepee remains calm, the glow of the stones casting soft halos of red against the floor. Your eyelids grow heavy. The last thing you hear is the old man's voice murmuring, "Sleep close to the fire, even when it hides in stone." You smile as you drift, fingers curled around the fading warmth. The world outside freezes harder. But inside your small circle of heat, it doesn't matter. Because warmth, you realize, doesn't need to be seen to be real. The fire has burned low again, and the night feels endless, black and wide. The kind that swallows every sound until even your heartbeat feels too loud. You're lying beneath your buffalo hide, the last glow of your warming stone still pulsing faintly against your stomach. Around you, the teepee is quiet, except for the rhythmic breathing of those asleep. But in this quiet, something else begins to stir, not the cold, not the wind, but dreams. The elder once said that the fire doesn't just keep you warm, it keeps your spirit awake while your body rests. Dream close to the fire, he'd said, and you'll see more than sleep. Tonight, as you stare at the orange glow in the embers, you start to believe him. The air is thick with smoke, curling gently upward like threads of memory. The shadows move slowly on the hide walls, forming shapes, first of buffalo, then of people dancing, then something older, more abstract. It's not frightening, it feels intentional, like the fire is telling stories of its own. You blink, and the elder's voice slips into your mind again. The ancestors come through the flames. They travel by light. You're not sure whether you're awake or dreaming when the crackle of the fire becomes a kind of rhythm, like a drum. Slow and deep, you can almost hear a heartbeat inside it, steady and ancient. Around you, others sleep soundly, faces soft, turned toward the warmth. Even the dogs twitch in their dreams, paws moving as if chasing something. You wonder if everyone here dreams the same thing: the hunt, the chase, the wind, the warmth. Maybe their dreams connect, woven together through the fire's rhythm. The elder once joked that if you dream badly near a fire, it's your own fault, because the flames try to burn the bad dreams before they reach you. You'd laughed then, but tonight, the thought feels oddly comforting. Each spark that leaps upward could be carrying away something dark. Something heavy. You let your gaze soften, watching the embers pulse and fade. The deeper you stare, the slower your thoughts become. The cold no longer matters. Even time stops trying to keep count. Then you hear it, faint singing outside. It's not a full song, just a low hum carried on the wind. A woman's voice, gentle, deliberate. You realize it's a lullaby. Sleep well, child of fire. The wind has no teeth tonight. Sleep deep, child of snow. The stars will guard your dreams. The song fades, carried away across the plains. But the warmth it leaves behind lingers. You breathe in deeply, smoke filling your lungs, earthy and sweet. You think about dreams, how different they must have been here. No flashing screens, no city noise, no modern clutter, just the raw material of life, snow, hunger, hope, and light. The people here dream not of escape, but of endurance, a kind of sacred persistence. The elder's voice breaks through again, so faint you're not sure if he's truly awake. When we sleep by fire, he whispers, the dreams we dream are not only ours. The fire remembers for us. You turn slightly, watching the flicker of his face in the glow. His eyes are half open, unfocused, but calm. You realize he's somewhere between waking and sleep too, walking the same dream path you're on. The shadows on the wall move again. Now they look like the plains themselves, stretching endlessly, dotted with stars. You blink and they shift, a herd of buffalo. Then people running beside them. Then nothing but flame again. It's mesmerizing. You understand why the Lakota treat fire like a living being, because in its light, everything breathes, even the things you thought were gone. You lie back and let the dream deepen. You're not in the teepee anymore. You're out on the frozen plains, surrounded by night and snow. But somehow, you're not cold. The fire follows you, glowing faintly beneath your feet. The ground hums. The stars pulse. You walk among shadows of hunters and animals, all moving in silence. A voice, maybe the elders, maybe your own, whispers. You're dreaming where the ancestors dreamed. When you finally blink again, you're back inside the teepee. The fire has shrunk to a single red eye. Still watching, you can hear someone turning in their sleep, murmuring something about the buffalo returning. Maybe they saw what you did. The air is warm again, impossibly warm for such a small flame. You realize that the warmth isn't coming from the fire anymore, or even from the stones. It's coming from the people themselves, a collective heat made of trust, breath, and presence. You smile in the dark. The elder stirs one last time, his voice soft as ash. Dreams keep the cold from finding your heart. He says, as long as you dream, the night stays outside. You let that thought carry you deeper into rest. The fire sighs. The teepee breathes. The shadows fade into one another. And you sleep, not to escape the night, but to join it. By the next night, the world has turned white again. Snow has fallen all day without rest, thick and relentless, blanketing everything in silence. You step outside the teepee, and the world looks erased. No paths, no footprints, just endless soft light. The horizon has vanished. The cold no longer bites, it presses, heavy and constant, like the weight of another sky. But the Lakota are calm. The storm doesn't scare them. It teaches. You see two men working near the edge of camp, shoveling snow into strange, rounded shapes. They laugh as they work, snow caked in their hair, breath rising in clouds. You walk closer, confused. "You're building with snow?" you ask, your voice muffled by the wind. One of them grins. "Snow keeps out snow," he says simply, and gestures for you to help. It sounds ridiculous until you touch the structure. The snow is packed tight, almost hard as stone, shaped into a low, curved wall that arcs around a small hollow. Inside, it's surprisingly calm, no wind, no sting in your lungs. The air feels still, almost warm by comparison. You duck down and crawl inside. The walls glow faintly blue, the light from outside seeping through the ice crystals like moonlight through frosted glass. The sound of the storm becomes muted, distant, like the world has turned down its volume. It's the first time in days you've felt true stillness. A young boy crawls in after you, carrying a burning ember wrapped in a pouch of bark. He sets it in a small bowl of stone, and the tiny flame flickers to life. Its light dances across the snow walls, soft and golden. "Now it's a home," he says proudly. The elder follows, his voice low. "We learned this from the foxes," he says. They dig into the snow to find silence and warmth. The snow that falls on top keeps the wind out. It breathes slow, like we do. You run your hand along the inner wall. It's smooth, damp to the touch. Your fingertips come away wet, but the surface doesn't crumble. "Won't it melt?" you ask. He smiles. "Not tonight. When the fire is small and the breath is steady, the snow listens. It knows when to hold." You can't tell if he's being poetic or scientific, probably both. Either way, he's right. The tiny flame burns without smoke. And within minutes, the air inside grows comfortable. The walls condense slightly, sealing even tighter. You can feel the difference, not warm exactly, but safe. The boy lies down, head on a rolled-up hide. Feels like sleeping in the clouds. He murmurs. You laugh softly. It really does. Outside, the storm roars louder, a wall of sound that can't reach you. Inside, you hear the drip of melting snow, the soft crackle of the ember, the sound of your own breathing. The elder hums a tune, low and circular, the kind that doesn't seem to begin or end. It's a song for waiting, for patience against the storm. He says quietly, "Snow is not our enemy. It's a mother. Cold, yes, but she covers what she loves." You close your eyes, letting the words settle. The snow creaks faintly above, but holds. The faint warmth of the fire wraps around you like a whisper. You think of how strange it is that the same thing that can kill you, when shaped with care, can save you. It's a kind of trust you've forgotten how to give. You remember city winters, walls, heaters, insulation that hums endlessly to keep the world out. Here, warmth isn't about shutting nature away. It's about using it, listening to it, shaping it until it agrees to help. The elder looks toward the small hole they've left at the top for air. Even snow needs to breathe, he says. Everything does. If you seal it too tight, it dies, just like us. The boy laughs, rolling onto his back. "Grandfather, even I breathe too loud for the snow to die." The old man chuckles, shaking his head. "Then you'll live forever." You smile, watching the two of them. The flame flickers, painting gold across their faces, across the shimmering blue of the snow. It's surreal, two worlds, warmth and cold, coexisting in fragile harmony. The elder begins to tell a story of an ancient winter that lasted 10 moons too long, of how their people survived by sleeping in snow caves when the buffalo vanished and the winds howled without end. We called it the quiet winter, he says, because when you live inside snow, even your heartbeat sounds loud. His voice drifts like smoke, soft and steady. The storm outside is furious. But here, it feels almost irrelevant, like a faraway memory. Eventually, the boy falls asleep, his breath fogging the air in gentle rhythm. The elder watches him for a long while before murmuring, "The snow teaches us two things: how to wait, and how to listen." You nod, pulling your robe tighter. The snow wall leans slightly inward. Sighing but holding, you close your eyes, feeling the faint heartbeat of the ember near your feet. The air grows quieter still. The elder's voice fades to a whisper. We are only safe when we stop fighting the cold. Let it hold you, then it forgets to harm you. You drift, the storm now just a pulse behind your dreams. And somewhere, in that frozen shelter of snow and silence, you realize warmth isn't always about heat. Sometimes, it's about peace. The storm finally moves on, leaving behind a stillness so complete it feels sacred. Snow drapes over everything, softening the sharp edges of the land. The teepee stands half buried now, its smoke hole puffing a thin trail into the pale sky. When night falls again, the cold returns, quiet, deep, absolute, yet inside, there is life. A woman hums near the fire, her voice low and warm. The melody winds around the teepee like smoke, wrapping each sleeper in sound. The children are already half asleep, their faces lit by the fire's gentle orange pulse. You feel your shoulders drop. Even the air seems to calm when she sings. The elder smiles. Songs keep the night honest. He says, if we forget to sing, the cold thinks we've given up. You watch as others join in, softly at first, then fuller, the harmony rising like a heartbeat shared among the living. The words are old, older than memory, built from syllables that sound more like breath than speech. You can't translate them, but you can feel them: gratitude, resilience, defiance. The rhythm is simple, a steady pulse that mirrors the flicker of the fire. Someone beats gently on a hand drum made from elk hide. The sound deep and earthy. It fills the space between heartbeats. Outside, the wind tests the teepee walls, then retreats, as if uncertain it's welcome here. The elder catches your eye. You can sing too, he says. You don't need to know the words. The fire will understand. You hesitate, then hum along, awkward at first. The others grin, not mocking, just amused at your careful, offbeat bravery. The melody grows richer. Something in the sound feels physical, as if the warmth of the fire expands with each note. You realize they're not just singing for comfort, they're singing for survival. Every song, the elder explains, has a job. Some feed the fire. Some tell the snow to rest. Some remind the people that their hearts are still strong. You think about your own world: headphones, playlists, music that fills time instead of meaning. Here, song isn't entertainment, it's communion. It bridges the space between body and spirit, between warmth and the unending dark. The woman's voice rises again, clear and smooth as running water. We are still here, Our breath is smoke. Our hearts are flame. The night will pass. The dawn will know our names. Her words drift upward with the sparks. And for a heartbeat, the entire teepee glows. You could swear the air itself is vibrating with light. The elder leans close and whispers. This is how the people outlast the cold. Not by fighting it, but by singing louder than silence. You close your eyes, and the song fills everything. You feel it hum through your ribs, through the floor, through the hides above you. The rhythm matches your heartbeat until you can't tell which is which. One of the dogs lifts its head, listening, even it seems lulled by the tune. Tail twitching faintly. Outside, the snow shifts, whispering, but the wind doesn't return. Maybe it's listening too. The song changes, slower now. Softer. A lullaby for the last embers. The lyrics speak of journeys, of stars, of ancestors who once sang under the same sky. The elder's voice joins hers, rough and gentle, like gravel warmed by the sun. You feel tears prick your eyes, though you're not sure why. Maybe because the sound feels so human, so unafraid. The melody doesn't deny the cold, it embraces it, folding it into beauty. The children fall asleep first, heads resting on fur and arms. The drumbeat fades to a slow thump, one beat, then another, until it's no different from the rhythm of breathing. The elder looks into the fire. Long ago, he murmurs, when a storm came, we sang until it left. Even the wolves waited outside the camp to listen. They never attacked on a singing night. You can almost see it, rings of light. The people singing, the wolves standing still in the snow. Their eyes glowing but calm. The image lingers, half real, half dream. The woman hums the final verse. Voice barely a whisper now. Sleep, little flame. Dream of the sun. The night is only a story we tell. Her voice fades. Silence returns, but not the cold, merciless kind from before. This silence is gentle, warm, earned. The elder exhales slowly. There, he says, now the fire won't go out until morning. You lie back, pulling the hide up to your chin. The warmth lingers in the air, mixed with smoke and song. Even the ashes seem to glow longer, refusing to dim. You realize then that the Lakota didn't just survive winter, they taught it to sing along. As your eyes close, you hear the faint echo of that melody still looping in your head. It's not just sound anymore, it's memory. And you drift off thinking, maybe survival is just another kind of harmony. By the next night, the cold returns with new teeth, sharper, hungrier. The snow outside gleams under a brittle moon, the kind of cold light that seems to echo when you breathe. Inside the teepee, the fire crackles, small and cautious, as if even it knows the night is watching. The elder sits close to the flames, crushing dried cedar needles in his palm. The scent fills the air instantly, crisp, woody, clean. It cuts through the smoke like a prayer written in air. Cedar keeps the bad dreams out, he says softly, and calls the good ones home. He tosses a handful into the fire. The flames flare green for an instant, then settle into gold. A sweet, resinous smoke curls upward, swirling toward the vent at the top of the teepee. You watch it rise, dancing lazily, twisting like it has a mind of its own. Every night, the elder continues, we ask the cedar to guard us while we sleep. The spirits of the cold wander when the moon is full. They're jealous of the warmth. This keeps them away. He grins slightly. Think of it as ancient pest control. You laugh softly. The sound small in the thick air. The cedar smoke burns your nose at first. But then it settles into something comforting. Familiar. Like the scent of safety itself. The others begin to prepare for rest. Each person takes a pinch of cedar. Rubs it between their hands. Then sweeps it gently over their hair and shoulders. The motion is slow, ceremonial, almost hypnotic. When it's your turn, the elder hands you a small bundle. Don't worry, he says. It's not magic, it's manners. You mimic the gesture, crush, breathe, brush. The smoke clings to your skin, to your robe, to your hair. It doesn't feel mystical, it feels grounding. Like you're reminding your body that it still belongs here. Outside, a low wail rises, the wind threading through the camp. The teepee walls tremble. The elder glances up but doesn't move. They're looking for cracks. He murmurs, the spirits of hunger and frost. But the cedar confuses them. They can't smell fear through it. You try not to imagine invisible shapes drifting through the snow, hungry. Forgotten things. But his calm makes it hard to feel afraid. The fire flickers, the smoke thickens. The teepee smells like a forest burning in miniature. The woman from last night begins to hum again. But tonight's song is slower. Darker, a lullaby for the unseen. Her voice winds through the cedar haze, turning fear into rhythm. The children listen with wide eyes. One of them whispers, "Do the spirits ever come inside?" The elder smiles gently. "Only if we invite them. And only if they bring stories." He pokes the fire with a stick, stirring up a rush of sparks. "You see, even spirits get lonely in winter. We respect them, we just remind them where we sleep and where they don't." You chuckle under your breath, watching the smoke rise thicker now, curling like a living curtain. It's mesmerizing, the way it glows in the firelight. Soft gold at its base, silver higher up. You can almost imagine faces forming there, kind ones, curious ones. The elder sighs contentedly. Cedar is generous. It burns quick, but it takes the cold scent with it. It leaves the air clean. You close your eyes and breathe in deeply. The cedar's aroma mixes with the faint sweetness of sage from earlier fires. The blend feels ancient, like you're inhaling the same air breathed by people 100 winters ago. You realize this ritual isn't just protection, it's memory. Every handful of cedar burned tonight connects to all the nights before it. The smoke is both prayer and proof. The elder leans back, voice barely audible over the crackle. "We used to say that cedar smoke is the breath of the old ones, the ones who kept the first fires burning. When it drifts over us, they remember our names." That thought lingers, warm and bittersweet. You picture unseen ancestors leaning close, their whispers woven into the smoke, watching with quiet pride. It's not spooky. It's strangely tender, a family reunion without bodies. Only breath and scent. A gust hits the teepee, shaking it once. The dogs stir, growling low, but quickly settle again. The elder chuckles. Even the wind respects cedar. It's the one smell winter can't bully. The woman finishes her song, her last note fading into silence so complete it feels like the whole world is listening. For a moment, no one moves. The smoke hangs in perfect spirals, frozen mid-air. Then, gently, the air shifts again. and the spirals unwind toward the stars. You feel safe, not because the cold is gone, but because the people here know how to meet it halfway. The elder yawns. The cedar will guard us now. You can sleep. You lie back, pulling the hide over your shoulders. The air feels cleaner, lighter, the faint hum of the fire, the soft breath of others, the lingering scent of cedar. All of it blends into something steady, protective. Your last thought before drifting off is simple but certain. Maybe warmth isn't about fire or fur or stones. Maybe it's about knowing you're remembered, even by the smoke. Outside, the snow shifts. Inside, the cedar sighs. And between them, you sleep, untouched by the cold. Guarded by ghosts made of fragrance and flame. The cedar smoke still lingers when the shaman enters. He moves quietly, like someone trained to never disturb the rhythm of sleeping people. The air follows him, bending slightly, as if the smoke recognizes him. He kneels near the fire, adding a handful of dried herbs that hiss and spark, releasing a new scent, something sharp, like pine mixed with wild mint. You're half awake, watching through half-closed eyes. The others are asleep, their breaths slow and steady. Only the shaman remains alert. His face glows in the flicker of the flame, carved with lines that look less like age and more like maps, roads of experience drawn by winter after winter. The fire is never left alone, he says softly, perhaps to himself, perhaps to you. It's alive, and tonight, I am its guardian. He picks up a small rattle made of turtle shell and pebbles. Shaking it gently, the sound is subtle, like wind in dry grass. He circles the fire 3 times, then sits cross-legged, eyes closed. You can feel the air shifting again, heavier now, humming faintly. The shaman isn't just keeping the fire from dying. He's keeping the balance. The Lakota believe warmth isn't merely temperature, it's spirit. A fragile harmony between flame, people, and the land. The cold is patient, it waits for imbalance. His job is to make sure none arrives. He hums low, almost inaudibly. The sound vibrates in your chest more than in your ears. You recognize some of the melody from the song they sang the night before. But this one feels different, older, more solemn. It isn't a song for people. It's a song for the night itself. Every few minutes, he feeds the fire with slivers of wood. Never too much, never too little, too big, he whispers, and the fire becomes greedy. Too small, and it forgets why it burns. You watch as the sparks rise and vanish through the teepee vent. Each one seems to carry a whisper. The shaman watches them go, nodding slightly, as though counting souls. Those are our messages, he says. They tell the sky we're still awake. Outside, the wind picks up again. You hear the familiar low howls sweeping across the plains. The teepee trembles, the hides pulling tight against the poles. The shaman glances toward the entrance but doesn't move. He takes a pinch of ash from the fire and rubs it across his forehead, leaving a faint gray line. That keeps the frost spirits from seeing me, he explains quietly, half smiling. It sounds superstitious, but somehow you believe him. His calm is contagious. He glances at you. You feel it, don't you? The night breathing. You do. The air seems to expand and contract in rhythm with the flicker of the fire. Even the dogs shift their bodies at the same pace. Everything alive here, human, animal, flame, shares the same slow pulse. The shaman stirs the embers again. When people dream, they travel far. My work is to keep their path lit so they can find their way back. He adds another sliver of cedar, and the smoke coils upward, thin and silver. Without light, dreams turn cold, they freeze before morning. You nod, though your eyes are heavy. The concept makes sense in its own strange way. He is the bridge between worlds, between sleep and waking, warmth and frost, living and spirit. He begins to chant softly. Words you can't understand but feel deep in your spine. It's not melody now, it's rhythm. Steady and ancient. The sound doesn't rise above the crackle of fire, it blends with it. As if the flame itself is answering back. You catch glimpses of movement in the smoke, maybe illusions. Maybe not. Faces, hands, the faint shape of a buffalo. It feels less eerie than expected. Almost reassuring. As if unseen watchers are simply checking in, making sure the living still remember. The shaman smiles faintly at the fire. They come to listen, he murmurs. They like the sound of peace. Time drifts. You don't know how long you've been half dreaming, half watching. The shaman never stops. His chant softens, becomes a whisper, then silence. He sits motionless for a long while, eyes on the fire, until the first hint of dawn filters through the vent above. The fire, still alive, glows steady and strong. No smoke, no sparks, just warmth, pure and constant. The shaman finally looks your way. His eyes are bright but gentle. Now you see, he says. The night doesn't end by itself. Someone has to guide it out. He smiles, tired but satisfied. You can sleep now. The sun is close enough to remember us. You close your eyes. The warmth feels heavier now. Fuller. The cedar's scent still lingers, mixed with the faint sweetness of morning. The world outside is still frozen, but inside, the flame hums quietly, alive, watched, and grateful. And as you drift towards sleep, you realize the truth of it. Every fire needs a keeper. Every warmth, a watcher. And in that faith, the night becomes gentle again. By the time the next evening settles in, the sky glows faintly purple. That in-between color the plains wear before true darkness arrives. Smoke curls from the tops of dozens of tipis. Thin ribbons fading into the calm, cold sky. The storm has finally broken for good. The snow still shines, but it has lost its rage. The camp feels different tonight, lively, playful. Laughter cuts through the stillness. You follow the sound and find a group of children tumbling through the snow. Wrapped in fur robes so thick they look like tiny rolling bears. They chase each other between tipis, kicking up clouds of white powder. Shrieking with delight, their joy seems to thaw even the frozen air. The elder stands nearby, smiling. They remind the cold that it can't have everything. He says, even winter has to share. You can't help but laugh. It's strange to see so much life in such a bleak place. But here, joy is rebellion, and these children are fearless rebels. One boy falls backward into the snow and spreads his arms, creating what looks like wings. I'm a snow eagle, he shouts. The elder chuckles. And tomorrow you'll be a snow cough, he says, but there's no scolding in his tone, only affection. As the last light fades, the parents call their children back inside. The laughter doesn't stop, it just moves indoors. You step into one of the tipis and find chaos wrapped in comfort. Little bodies bundled in hides. Dogs wagging their tails. Mothers stirring the fire while fathers shake the snow off their boots. One girl sits cross-legged by the flames, carving something with a small knife. You lean closer. It's a toy. A tiny buffalo made from a piece of wood. She glances up shyly. For my brother, she says, so he dreams of the hunt when he sleeps. Her brother grins from across the teepee. I dream of soup, he says proudly, and everyone laughs. The elder watches from his usual spot near the fire. His eyes soft. Even in winter, he murmurs. The children play under the same sky as the ancestors. Their laughter keeps the fire young. It's true. The fire seems to burn brighter when they're near, as if it feeds on their energy. One of the smaller children crawls to the elder's side, tugging on his robe. Tell us a story, he pleads, one where the stars talk. The old man sighs dramatically. Ah, the stars again. You think they never sleep? They don't, the children chorus. He grins. Then I suppose I can't either. He begins to speak, his voice weaving through the flicker of the fire. Long ago, when the world was new and snow didn't yet know how to fall, the children of the first people played too loudly. They woke the sky, so the sky sprinkled white feathers to quiet them, and that was the first snow. The children gasped, wide-eyed. So snow is feathers? One girl asks. The elder nods solemnly. Feathers from the sky's own blanket. That's why you mustn't shout at it. It's just trying to keep you warm. The teepee fills with laughter again. Even the dogs wag their tails as if they understand the humor. The fire crackles, bouncing reflections across the painted hides. Outside, another group of children sing a simple tune. Their voices thin but clear against the cold. We sleep with fire. We dream with stars. The snow can fall, but it can't close our hearts. You stand near the entrance, watching them through the teepee flap. The moonlight catches the snowflakes in their hair, turning each one into a tiny spark. Their breath rises in silver puffs. It's both beautiful and heartbreaking, so fragile, so brave. The elder joins you at the doorway. We teach them to laugh at winter, he says quietly, not because it isn't dangerous, but because fear doesn't warm you. You nod. He's right. You've felt it, too. The way fear tightens the body, makes the cold worse, but laughter, somehow, opens it again. When the children finally come inside, they collapse in a heap of hides and limbs. The fire dims to a red glow. Someone hums the lullaby from before. The melody soft enough to blur the edges of wakefulness. The elder leans toward you. The cold never wins while the children can sleep. He says, if they can dream, the tribe will see another spring. You watch as the smallest one nestles between his parents, half buried in fur, his hand still gripping the wooden buffalo. His breath fogs the air in steady rhythm. For a moment, the whole teepee seems to breathe with him. You lie back under your own hide, the laughter still echoing faintly in your ears. The night outside may be vast and frozen, but in here, it's small, bright, alive. Before sleep takes you, you glance through the smoke vent. The stars look close tonight, like they've bent down to listen. And you realize something simple and profound. Every winter survives because someone remembers to laugh. Dawn comes slow, pale, and soundless. The storm has gone, but it left its mark, a world wrapped in white silence. The camp wakes gently. Smoke rises, soft and blue. From every teepee, someone scrapes snow away from the fire pit. Someone else melts ice for water. But not everyone is home. The hunters are still out there. They'd left 3 days ago, chasing the buffalo that had migrated farther south than usual. The snow came down harder than anyone expected, and though no one says it aloud, worry hangs in the air like frost. You notice the elder staring toward the horizon. His face is calm, but his eyes are listening for something. Then, faintly, there it is, the distant echo of hooves. Children rush to the edge of camp, shouting. The sound grows louder, steady, rhythmic, like a heartbeat returning after a long pause. You squint through the brightness and see them, dark shapes against the endless white. Moving slowly but steadily, the hunters are coming home. When they reach the camp, the snow dusts off their shoulders like ash. Their horses steam in the cold, breath mixing with the rising smoke. The lead hunter, young, broad-shouldered, eyes red from wind, dismounts and smiles wearily. "We found them," he says simply, "and they gave us enough." Relief spreads quietly, not as cheers but as deep exhalations. In this world, joy doesn't shout, it breathes. The people move quickly, helping the hunters unload their bounty, heavy hides, smoked meat, bones for tools. Each piece is handled with reverence, as if the buffalo were still watching. A woman whispers a short prayer of thanks while brushing snow off the hides. The elder claps the young hunter on the shoulder. "You came back with stories too, I hope." The man nods. "Many," he says, grinning, "most of them frozen." Later, as night falls, the hunters sit close to the fire, steam still rising from their clothes. Their faces glow red in the light, eyes half closed from exhaustion. Someone passes around a pot of soup, thick, hot, rich with marrow and roots. The first sip feels like forgiveness from the earth itself. You listen as they tell their stories. "We slept in the open the first night," one says, "under the stars, used our saddles as pillows and our coats as walls." He shakes his head, laughing. "The cold almost married us that night." The others laugh too. The elder grins. It's polite to say no when winter proposes. Another hunter adds, "We buried the fire in snow, made a pit, lined it with hides, covered it after cooking, slept above it, just warm enough not to freeze, just cold enough to wake if danger came." You imagine it. Men lying in the snow, breathing steam, fire hidden beneath them, the earth pulsing faintly with borrowed heat. It's desperate and brilliant all at once, survival by conversation with the land. One hunter, older, quieter, stares into the fire. The snow talked all night. He murmurs. "It said, 'You don't belong here,' but the stars disagreed." The elder nods approvingly. "The snow tests your body. The stars test your spirit. You passed both." Someone tosses another log into the fire. Sparks leap upward, racing toward the smoke hole in the cold sky beyond. For a moment, the flames paint everyone's faces gold, tired faces, scarred faces, faces alive. You realize the fire isn't just for warmth tonight. It's witness. It listens to the stories and carries them upward. So the ancestors will know their people are still learning how to live. The dogs creep closer. curling near the hunter's feet. Children hover nearby, pretending not to listen but catching every word. This is how knowledge survives, passed in laughter, in exhaustion, in the quiet awe of those who've walked through the storm and returned. One of the hunters notices you watching. It wasn't bravery, he says softly, just rhythm. You walk until the snow stops arguing. You nod. You've seen that rhythm now. The way these people live in sync with things that would kill anyone else. There's no defiance, only understanding, no conquest, only cooperation. The elder reaches for a small pouch, tosses cedar onto the fire, and murmurs something that sounds like thanks, not just for the hunters, but for the buffalo, the snow, the sky. Every element here gets its due. As the night deepens, the camp grows quiet again. The hunters drift into sleep near the fire, boots still on, hands resting on their robes. Outside, the wind hums low, not angry, just curious. You lie back beneath your hide, still tasting smoke and salt on your tongue. The firelight flickers against the teepee wall, casting the silhouettes of the resting hunters, men who have faced the white wilderness and returned with warmth for everyone. And in that light, you realize something simple and human. The fire belongs to whoever brings it home. The storm returns without warning. One moment the world is calm, the next it's swallowed in white. The wind screams across the plains like an old god waking from a long sleep. The tipis groan, their hides trembling against the cold's assault. Snow claws at the seams, looking for a way in. Even the fire seems smaller, humbled beneath the roar. Inside, everyone moves quickly but quietly, tightening ropes, pressing snow against the base of the teepee to seal it, feeding the fire with slow, steady hands. The elder's voice cuts through the noise. Calm but firm, no rush. The storm sees panic. Don't let it see you. You pull the hide closer around your shoulders. The air inside is thick with smoke and breath. The dogs curl tighter, their noses buried in their tails. The children huddle near the center, wide-eyed but silent. You can feel their fear, but also their discipline. They've done this before. Outside, the wind hits the teepee again. Harder this time. The structure bends but doesn't break. Snow piles against the wall, muffling everything until even the storm sounds distant. You can hear your own pulse again. The elder leans toward the fire, adjusting the wood so the flames stay low and steady. If the storm wants to scream, he says, let it, we will whisper back. He begins to hum, low, slow, almost a growl, the same melody from earlier nights. But now it feels heavier, more deliberate. One by one, others join in. The sound fills the space, soft but strong, rising and falling like breath. The storm hammers, the song answers. You feel the vibration of their voices through the ground, through the hides, through your bones. It's as if the entire teepee is alive, pulsing with quiet defiance. You realize the song isn't just music, it's rhythm turned into warmth. The youngest child peeks up at you. If we sing, the storm gets tired, he whispers. You nod. Does it work? He grins. Always. Hours pass. Time loses shape. The wind howls, rests, howls again. The fire burns small and steady, throwing just enough light to keep the fear at bay. You drift between wakefulness and dream, the sound of the storm and the song blending into something hypnotic. Then you're dreaming for real, though it feels too vivid to be just that. You're standing outside the teepee. But the snow doesn't hurt. It falls slowly, softly, glowing faintly like it's alive. The sky above isn't black, it's deep blue, filled with shifting light, like an aurora made of breath. Figures move through it, shapes of buffalo, of people, of things you can't name. You walk forward, and your feet don't sink. The snow holds you up, gentle as a mother's hand. The storm is gone, replaced by silence so complete it feels like music. You realize you're walking through a dream shared by everyone sleeping inside. You can sense them, the same heartbeat, the same calm. A figure appears ahead, cloaked in fur, carrying a staff tipped with fire. It's the shaman, though his eyes glow faintly like starlight. He speaks without words. The storm tests the body. The dream tests the spirit. Both pass through, but you stay. You look around. The snow beneath your feet shimmers like glass. Beneath it, you see reflections, faces, memories, seasons, winters upon winters stacked like pages. You understand suddenly that the snowstorm isn't just weather, it's memory itself. The earth remembering everything it has seen. You reach out your hand, and the flakes that touch your skin melt into warmth instead of cold. They leave traces of light, faint as candle flame. When you blink again, you're back in the teepee. The storm still rages outside. But it sounds different now, not angry. Just loud, like the sky clearing its throat. The elder opens one eye and sees you awake. He smiles faintly. You walked, didn't you? You hesitate. In the storm? In the dream, he says simply. We all do. That's how the cold learns our names, and learns not to take them. He feeds the fire again. Just enough to brighten the room. The walls glow orange. The storm's shadow flickers and fades. The others sleep soundly. Even the dogs are peaceful now. You watch the fire sway and realize the teepee has become something more than shelter. It's a cocoon of heat and harmony suspended in chaos, a single heartbeat in the chest of winter. The elder closes his eyes again. When you wake, the storm will be gone. He murmurs. It always leaves when we stop fearing it. You lean back, the hide warm against your skin. The roar outside begins to fade, its fury softening into a sigh. Snow slides off the teepee roof with a dull thump. And as your eyes close again, you understand the lesson hidden in the blizzard. Sometimes, the storm doesn't end because it weakens. It ends because you learn how to sleep through it. When dawn finally breaks, the world looks different again. The storm has passed, leaving behind a silence so vast it almost hums. The snow lies smooth and perfect, unbroken except for the soft trails where animals moved in the night. The air smells clean, sharp, like the earth itself has been washed. The camp stirs slowly. People emerge from their tipis wrapped in hides, blinking at the sunlight bouncing off the white. Laughter drifts between them, a tired, grateful kind of laughter. The storm didn't win. It never does. The elder stands at the edge of camp, his breath fogging in the cold. The storm took everything it wanted, he says, and now it leaves us what we need. You follow his gaze. Beyond the river, a dark shape moves, a line of horses and sleds. Strangers, traders. Their approach is slow but steady, deliberate. They come from the east, wrapped in wool and leather, faces hidden under fur hoods. You can see the glint of metal among them, pots, tools, maybe even a gun or two. The children spot them first and run to tell the others. Within minutes, the camp hums with quiet anticipation. Trade day. When the strangers arrive, the air fills with a strange mixture of languages: English, French, Lakota, gestures, and laughter that bridges them all. Goods spill out across the snow: bright wool blankets, metal kettles, flint, beads, and, most coveted of all, thick European wool cloth dyed crimson. It glows against the white snow like a captured sunrise. In exchange, the Lakota bring out bundles of furs: fox, elk, and buffalo, tanned smooth, supple as water. There's no shouting, no haggling. The trade feels like a ceremony. Each side moves carefully, with quiet respect. You watch as an old woman examines a length of wool. She runs her hands over it, frowning. It will keep you warm. The trader insists, smiling nervously. The elder chuckles. Warm? Maybe. But the buffalo warms the spirit. This only warms the skin. Still, he nods and accepts the trade, handing over a folded hide in return. Sometimes the skin needs reminding, too. Soon, fires are rekindled. The red blankets hang over teepee poles, vivid against the pale sky. Children run around wearing them as capes, pretending to be spirits of the wind. You can't help but laugh. As the traders rest and share food, you hear stories traded alongside goods. One man from the east describes ships that cross endless water. Another tells of cities where light burns all night. The Lakota listen politely but without envy. To them, a world that never sleeps sounds exhausting. The elder leans toward you. We trade more than things, he says quietly. We trade warmth. They bring us what their fires made. We give them what our hunts gave. Every winter, the circle widens. He gestures to the traders laughing with the children, letting them touch their strange wool coats. They'll leave soon, but some of what they brought will stay, not just blankets. But stories. Stories carry heat longer than firewood. You nod, feeling that truth sink in. The camp feels alive again. Colors, sounds, motion. The monotone of winter is broken by bright reds, clinking metal, and laughter. It's as if trade isn't just about survival. It's about remembering that life can still change, even in the coldest months. A young trader offers you a tin cup of something steaming. It's bitter, rich coffee. Perhaps. You take a sip and nearly choke. He laughs, patting your shoulder. First time? You cough, grinning. It tastes like burnt smoke and secrets. Then you're drinking it right, he says. Even the elder tries some, wrinkling his nose. Strange warmth, he says. It burns from the inside like impatience. As the sun climbs higher, the trading slows. People linger, talking, learning words from each other. A Lakota boy proudly points to his new hat, a red wool cap far too big for him, and says in halting English, "Hothead." Everyone laughs. The traders begin to pack up as daylight starts to fade. One of them, a young woman with frost-burned cheeks, pauses to look back at the camp. "Your fires burn small," she says softly to the elder, "but they feel stronger than ours." He bows his head slightly. Small fires teach patience. Big fires forget to listen. They part with smiles and handshakes. The sleds vanish into the horizon, leaving only the red marks of their blankets scattered across the white. When evening comes, the elder sits near the fire, tracing patterns in the ash. Every time we trade, he says, the world grows a little closer. Every time we share warmth, winter grows a little weaker. You think of the red wool against the snow, of laughter blending languages, of coffee burning down to the bone. Warmth, it seems, can travel, not just through touch, but through connection. As the fire dims, the children curl beneath their new blankets, still whispering about the trader's strange world. You lie back, listening to their giggles fade into sleep. The wind picks up again outside, curious but calm, like it, too, wants to hear what warmth sounds like when it's shared. And you think, perhaps trade isn't about need at all. Perhaps it's just another way to remind each other that no one survives the cold alone. Night comes softly this time, no storm, no biting wind, only the faint hiss of snow falling in slow, deliberate flakes. The world feels quieter than usual, as if the cold itself has paused to listen. Inside the teepee, the fire burns low and steady. You can hear laughter again, not the loud kind from the children, but something deeper, gentler. It's a different warmth tonight, not from buffalo hides or hot stones, but from closeness, from bodies, voices, and hearts that have learned the art of surviving together. A young couple sits by the fire, their hands intertwined under a shared blanket. They whisper and laugh softly, careful not to wake the others. You notice how their fingers move in rhythm with the flames, slow, confident, certain. The air around them seems to hum. The elder sees your glance and smiles knowingly. Even in winter, he says, the heart remembers its own fire. He pokes at the embers. We tell the young ones, if you find love in the cold season, it's real. Summer makes promises, winter keeps them. You can't help but smile. The fire crackles as if agreeing. The couple doesn't speak much. They don't need to. They lean together, sharing breath, warmth, and the quiet understanding that survival here is rarely solitary. You realize that in a world of frost and scarcity, love isn't luxury, it's strategy. The woman adjusts the fur around her shoulders and murmurs something about the sound of snow on the hide roof. It's like the sky is breathing, she says. Her partner nods, pulling her closer. The elder chuckles. When the snow speaks softly, he says, it's blessing your rest. He turns toward you. That's why we sleep close. Not just for heat. The cold steals what's alone first. Together, you make one body, one rhythm, one warmth the winter can't separate. You think of your own world, the solitary bedrooms, the endless glow of screens, the isolation disguised as comfort. Out here, everything feels reversed. Warmth isn't something you build, it's something you share. The elder's eyes soften. We say that the first blanket was not hide or fur. He says, it was an embrace. He lets the thought hang there, like smoke twisting upward. The couple shifts, preparing for sleep. They lie close, faces buried in fur, the firelight painting their profiles in amber. Their breathing synchronizes with the quiet rhythm of the flames. A child stirs nearby, half asleep, and asks, "Grandfather, how do people stay warm when they are alone?" The elder's gaze lingers on the fire. They remember, he says. They keep the image of someone close. even if only in dreams. Memory burns hotter than wood sometimes. You feel that sentence land somewhere deep inside. Maybe warmth really is a kind of memory, of touch, of safety, of being seen. The old man adds more wood to the fire. The world was not made for loneliness. He says, even the stars travel in groups. Outside, the snow thickens again, whispering against the teepee walls. The dogs sigh and shift closer to the people. The whole camp seems to tighten inward, like a heartbeat protecting itself from the dark. You notice the couple again, already asleep, still holding hands. Their faces look peaceful, the kind of peace that comes from knowing you're not facing the night alone. The elder smiles. Love, he says quietly, is the only thing that burns without smoke. You laugh softly. Poetic. He grins. Old men get that way when they survive enough winters. The fire pops, sending a small spark upward. He watches it rise, then fade. Some nights, when the cold is cruel. That's how we endure, by leaning closer instead of harder. The world teaches strength. The cold teaches closeness. You nod slowly. The air is warm now. Not just from the fire but from the feeling that everyone here, in their quiet ways, is connected, woven together by shared breath, shared stories, shared warmth. The elder pulls his hide tighter and lies down. The young ones keep each other warm. He murmurs. The old ones keep the fire awake. That's how the tribe survives. You lie back too, the fur soft beneath you. The fire humming gently beside you. The snow continues to fall, muffling the night into something sacred. As sleep drifts in, you can still feel the echo of laughter, the slow rhythm of breathing, the weight of a world held together by warmth and memory. And just before you fade completely, you think, love here isn't fragile, or fleeting, or decorative. It's fuel. Morning comes quietly, the kind of quiet that feels almost holy. The fire has burned down to a soft red glow, buried beneath its own ashes like a sleeping heart. The teepee walls shimmer faintly where frost has crept in during the night, painting thin white veins that glitter in the first pale light. You breathe out, and your breath becomes mist, one more ghost joining the morning air. Around you, the camp is stirring. Someone coughs softly. A dog shakes the frost from its fur, and the faint sound of scraping snow echoes outside as the day begins. You push aside your blanket and step out. The cold hits instantly, sharp and pure, slicing through sleep like a blade. But it's beautiful, impossibly beautiful. The world is covered in diamonds. Every blade of grass, every branch, every buffalo hide shimmer with ice that catches the newborn sun. The snow groans underfoot, each step a small explosion of sound in the stillness. The Lakota move through the dawn like part of the landscape. Women bend to break ice for water. Men stretch, rubbing their hands and shoulders to chase away the stiffness of sleep. A child runs past, laughing, leaving a trail of breath like smoke. The elder stands a short distance away, his robe drawn tight, his breath rising in steady clouds. He's watching the horizon, where the sun lifts slowly, golden against the endless white. The morning frost, he says softly, is the night's apology. You smile. For what? For trying to kill us. He answers, eyes twinkling. The frost is how it says. No hard feelings. He gestures for you to look closer. The teepee hides sparkle, every ridge outlined in light. See how it shines? It's the proof that we lived through another night. Even the cold must admit defeat at sunrise. You watch as the frost begins to melt. Drop by drop, steaming faintly in the sunlight. The air smells clean, wood smoke, snow, and the faint sweetness of cedar from last night's fire. It's the scent of endurance. Nearby, a group of young hunters prepare for the day. They brush snow off their clothes, laughing as they check their bows and sleds. Their movements are easy, unhurried, people who've made peace with struggle. One of them looks up at the sun and grins. "Warm day," he says, "though your eyelashes are already freezing again." You can't help but laugh. "What's cold, then?" He shrugs. "When your shadow freezes too." The elder chuckles. That's not far from the truth. A woman steps out of a teepee carrying a pot of water. Steam curls up as she sets it by the fire pit to thaw. The sun catches her breath, turning it silver. The first drink of the morning belongs to the earth, she says, pouring a little water onto the ground before anyone else drinks. It wakes before we do. You watch the steam vanish into the snow. Everything here has meaning, even the smallest gestures. Gratitude isn't a ritual, it's muscle memory. Children emerge one by one, hair wild, cheeks red. They carry sticks to poke at the ashes, reviving the fire from its slumber. The first flames of morning rise like flowers opening to light. The warmth spreads slowly, hesitantly, as if reminding itself how to move. The elder crouches beside them. The frost teaches patience. He says, "If you move too fast, it bites. If you move just right, it turns to water and feeds the day." He looks at you, eyes narrowing slightly. "You city people chase warmth. We let it find us." You laugh quietly. "And it always does?" He grins. "Eventually, everything that runs must rest. Even winter." You stand together in silence for a while, watching the sunlight climb higher, melting the last traces of frost from the hides and sleds. The world glows gold now, and the snow sparkles like it's alive. A horse snorts nearby, shaking off a thin crust of ice from its mane. The dogs stretch and yawn. The camp hums with quiet life, no rush, no hurry, just existence unfolding naturally, as it has for centuries. The elder picks up a handful of snow, squeezes it, and lets it fall through his fingers. "Every morning, the cold gives us back the world," he says. "Our job is to thank it and start again." He turns to you, smiling. "You see, surviving the night isn't the end. It's an agreement. The frost marks the signature." You nod slowly, understanding now what he means. Every dawn here is both victory and renewal. The cold never really leaves, it just learns to wait its turn. You breathe in deep. The air is icy, but it fills your lungs cleanly. It feels like drinking light. The elder watches you and nods. Now you know the taste of survival. He walks back toward the fire, his robe catching the sun, leaving small, perfect footprints in the snow. And as you watch the frost melt into dew, you realize that warmth isn't something that erases the cold, it's something that coexists with it. Proves it wrong gently. Every morning, the day passes slowly, tenderly, the kind of day that feels like an exhale after holding your breath too long. The air is still cold, but softer now, no longer a threat. The snow glows under the afternoon sun, each flake reflecting light like scattered glass. People move quietly, mending hides, carving tools, tending to the horses. The rhythm of life has returned, steady, calm, assured. As the sun sinks, the camp gathers for one more fire. Smoke curls upward, ribbons of gray and gold against the pink horizon. The elder sits close to the flames, his face glowing in the light. The others sit in a loose circle around him, wrapped in robes, the warmth between them as familiar as the fire itself. He looks into the flames, then at you. You've seen it all now. He says softly, the fire, the snow, the dreams, the silence, the ways we listen when the night speaks. You nod. The air feels different, not cold, not warm, but balanced, like everything has found its rightful place. He stirs the ashes gently with a stick, revealing the deep orange core beneath. These are the last embers. He says, the fire doesn't die, it just rests until we need it again. He glances up, eyes shining, like us. Around him, the camp begins to quiet. One by one, people drift to their tipis. Dogs curl into small circles near the warmth. The snow reflects the dying light in faint silver ripples. Even the wind has grown shy, whispering instead of wailing. You stay beside the elder as he speaks softly, almost to himself. The cold teaches humility. The fire teaches patience. But the night, he pauses. Smiling faintly, the night teaches gratitude. It reminds us that every warmth is borrowed, every dawn a gift. He leans back, sighing contentedly. Long ago, our people learned that survival isn't about fighting the cold, it's about understanding it. You make peace with winter, and it spares you. You resist, and it remembers. The last of the light fades. The embers pulse, slow and steady, the earth's own heartbeat reflected in the glow. You watch as the elder lowers his head, murmuring something you can barely catch. We're all just sparks, he says, drifting for a little while in the breath of the world. His words hang in the air as you lie back, eyes tracing the first stars through the teepee's smoke vent. The world feels impossibly vast, yet small enough to fit within the circle of firelight. The cold presses closer again, but it feels gentler now, like a hand resting on your shoulder. Not a fist. You understand it differently. It's not your enemy. It's the space in which warmth proves itself real. You close your eyes. The sounds fade. First the fire's crackle, then the sighing wind, then the rustle of the hides. Everything slows, stretches, softens. The elder's voice returns one last time, barely above a whisper. When you wake, the snow will still be here, but so will the warmth. That's the promise the night keeps. The embers glow faintly against the dark, each one a tiny sun holding on just a little longer. You imagine they're breathing with you, in, out, slower each time. The smell of cedar lingers. The cold outside deepens, patient, watchful. Inside, the last heat drifts upward, wrapping itself around you like memory. Your heartbeat slows to match the rhythm of the land, old, steady, eternal. And as the final spark fades to red, your thoughts dissolve with it. The fire, the snow, the hum of distant wind, the silence between. Everything becomes soft, even time. Now, the warmth no longer belongs to you. It belongs to the night. And it holds you gently, like the earth itself whispering you to rest. End of script. Sweet dreams.